Firstly, I would like to thank the team that has been involved in organizing this event, starting with Brian Penduka, our elections and rule of law expert, and the back-end guys, Mamgele Nitunga, our communications officer, and Michael Masiga, our IT expert, whose work has made it possible for us to communicate effectively. To all our participants, thank you for taking part in this book launch. And to those who might be meeting Africa Judges and Jurists Forum for the first time, we are a network of judges and lawyers across the African continent committed to the promotion of the rule of law in the context of Africa's development. We have 4 program areas, including elections and the rule of law. Retired Chief Justice William Mutunga of Kenya is our president, and Justice Moses Chinengo of Zimbabwe is our chairman or chairperson. They both would have wanted to be here, but haven't managed to do so. I am grateful to the International Foundation for Electoral Justice Systems for having partnered with us. And I'm happy to see Rushdie here after, I think after 2 years or something like that. In particular, I would like to thank Catherine Elena, better known as Katie, for her passion and expertise as she participated in the review of the manuscripts. I especially wish to acknowledge Katie's calmness and diplomacy, even during rocky moments which sometimes come to human interaction and enterprise. The commitment of Victoria's courts towards a timely and professionally completed piece of work was always admirable and on display. Brian Penduka, thank you. You were always the fulcrum around which the project and this publication ran. To the authors of the book, thank you. Your contribution to the body of electoral jurisprudence will forever be captured in the publication we are launching today. Hopefully, your contributions will find expression in court judgments, electoral justice literature, and electoral reform initiatives. Finally, thank you, Professor Christian Bazida, for putting these contributions together. A few years ago, Africa Judges and Jurists Forum together partnered with IFES to promote peer learning among judges in Africa through, among others, research and exchange of electoral jurisprudence. The book, Budding Democracy or Judicialization, Lessons from Africa's Emerging Electoral Jurisprudence, represents an effort in the direction of producing locally generated knowledge materials which enjoy a contextual fit, relevance, legitimacy, and wider acceptance. The courts in Africa are gaining more relevance and power as they play an increasingly critical role in settling highly charged political disputes, including elections. There must therefore be an investment of equal measure in strengthening the capacity of the courts in delivering just outcomes in order for them to maintain public trust, in the absence of which our countries will descend into chaos, as has many times happened. And Africa will continue to suffer instability, underdevelopment, and insignificance in world affairs if we do not have the courts play their rightful role. We are therefore pleased that through these small, or even some may say insignificant efforts, AJJF and our partners are beginning to make a contribution that could help in the construction of a broader governance framework that our region needs for its long-term stability and prosperity. So important is electoral jurisprudence in Africa that where elections are highly contested, especially in presidential elections, quote unquote, everyone becomes a legal analyst. It is not uncommon to have robust media debates, including by non-lawyers and ordinary persons, on the main concepts, some of which have been discussed in the collection that we are launching today. The materiality test or substantive effect rule, how judges dispose themselves to procedural technicalities, and the principle of judicial independence, though discussed in less sophisticated ways by wananchi or the citizenry, are normally matters of heated public concern and tension. While the primary targets of this book remain and are and will remain legal professionals, especially judges and lawyers, and the academia, increasingly we are learning that electoral jurisprudence in Africa is too important to be left to judges and lawyers. The public have an interest and a stake in it. This publication, therefore, helps to avail information not only to the legal professionals, but also to members of the public who may wish to educate themselves. On African elections generally and the place of the courts, something used to intrigue me in the past, that there is no major world democracy that has its electoral outcomes routinely determined by the courts, like it is in Africa. The cases of George Bush and Al Gore in the 2000 United States presidential elections, and the recent battery of cases by minions of Mr. Donald Trump are but an exception from the trend. In Africa, the reverse is true. While it is trite that Africa now holds, as Rushdie had said, more frequent elections since the second liberation in the 1990s, one of the most significant phenomena in the development of African democracy is the increasing judicialization of elections. In presidential elections, the pattern is so predictable that the surprise normally lies instead in the losing candidate not filing an electoral challenge. While this judicialization is not bad in itself, it has not led to the deepening of democracy. Instead, it is, I propose, an indicator of a profound problem in the way we organize our elections on this continent. We organize them in a way that does not give confidence to contestants and the public. Yet, the more the elections have become judicialized, the more the dominant political groupings have politicized the judiciary and made it difficult for judges to administer electoral justice in a manner that secures political electoral rights. The ideal situation should be to organize mostly uncontested elections, and that is the challenge that Africa should be setting itself up for. That in my lifetime, I am not sure, but I remain hopeful, somewhat hopeful. Until that time comes, as jurists, we have to content ourselves with creating spaces and platforms for dialogue on prevailing electoral jurisprudence in the hope that we can contribute, even in humble ways, to the realization of the promise of the African Charter on Elections and Good Governance, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 16 on peace and strong institutions, and finally, Aspiration 3 of the African Union's Agenda 2063 on an Africa of good governance, democracy, respect for human rights, justice, and the rule of law. Thank you for listening to me.